All right, and we're live. Test, test, 1, 2, 1, 2. Jay, what is up, my guy?
What's up, JP? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. Holding on. Yankees made me happy today, so that's a good one.
And something important happened over the weekend, too. Do you want to tell the people?
Giants are 5-1. Beat the Ravens. New York is back. The Jets are moving, too. The Jets are moving. The Jets are flying. You know, tonight's show is a good show. We got a good show in store for everyone.
Yeah.
But
yeah. It's gonna be a really good show. And more importantly, too, man, basketball season started. The Celtics are playing tonight against the Sixers.
LeBron year 20.
That's fucking crazy.
I'm not a Laker fan. I'm a LeBron fan. Just saying
that's crazy. This guy, I think, is on path to break Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring record. It's impressive.
I think that's what he's going after, and I think after that he's going to just be like, all right, I have no more records I can break.
He's on a different flow. Man. But more importantly, though, Jay, we're joined by a special guest, man.
Special guest in town tonight.
Do you want to do the honors, my friend, of announcing who we got tonight?
Tonight we got one of the realest ones on the episode. Goes by the name of Rod Davis.
There we go, and he's flexing already.
He's flexing. Big Jet fan. One of my favorite Jet fans. Because he keeps it real, you know.
I try.
Doesn't shoot too high. You know, like we're like equal now, you know, like 1 week at a time, right?
Game by game.
Game by game.
Quarter by quarter. You can bring even more than that. We can bring that down.
I hear you.
You know what
I hear you, man.
Rob, what's up, man? How you doing, man?
I'm all right, man. I can't complain. You know, it's not too cold out just yet, so I'm enjoying the fall. You know, I can go outside in the morning. I can go outside in the evening, but not too late. So I'm just enjoying, you know.
Yeah, nah, for sure, man. And we definitely appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be with us, man. We've been trying to make this happen for several weeks now. And, you know, unfortunately, our schedules haven't been in alignment, but we're excited that we finally got you live tonight, man.
Oh, man, you know, you can't rush greatness. You know, sometimes, you know,
boy, yeah,
that's a good way to put it, man. That's a good way to put it.
Thank you for having me, y'all. Thank you for having me. I feel, you know, very proud to say that this is my first time on a podcast ever. So,
we need like the Don DeMarco thing in the background. Nah, listen, man, we appreciate that you're giving us that opportunity to be kind of your first host to kind of host you in this podcast. And so, you know, we want to start by addressing the first thing that we're seeing on camera, which is these vinyls that we have in the back. So do you want to tell the people what these vinyls are and why specifically you chose those vinyls to be in the video today?
Okay, so I'm going to break it down like this. We got Shaka Khan. We got Bill Withers, we got Kendrick Lamar, and we got Jay-Z. But I'm going to talk about these two particular albums right here. This right here, Jay-Z, Blueprint, The Blueprint, is one of the best albums of all time. I don't need to sell anyone on it. You know, if you know, you know type of thing. But I would say Takeover, Song Cry, Girls, Girls, Girl, and Heart of the City are my 4 favorite records off this. I had to choose this just because, you know, I have a wider range of, you know, of the music palette. So, you know, that's why I also got this Bill Withers. And I'm happy to say that I'm not even too familiar with this record. As you can see, you know, for those that are watching, there is actually a little classic on it that I haven't even read.
Wow.
So the reason why I was showing this off is because as a music fan, I feel like, you know, a lot of the times music fans like to just big up what they only listen to and maybe not too open about, you know, not knowing certain stuff. Me, I will hit the I don't know button on anything. You know what I mean? Because I'm just willing to just learn and just be put on to, you know, different sounds. And Bill Withers is a soul artist. You know, I know the Lovely Days and some of the big records, but I haven't really gotten into his B-side, you know, catalog. So I'm looking forward to listening to that, and that's why I've showed it today.
And definitely one of the more classic artists of all time. I think one of his songs, Ain't No Sunshine, is probably one of the more sampled songs, I think, in all of hip hop history, right?
Absolutely. Yo, I think that song, that guy got royalties, boy.
Yeah.
Quick facts about Bill Withers. You know, he was working as he worked with his hands. You know, this is back like in the 70s. So, you know, he was like a factory worker and was just some guy. I'm pretty sure he was a vet, just some guy that was just nice during the lunch breaks on the guitar, was singing, and, you know, pretty much was just like, yo, you got to keep doing it. Yo, you got to go and be a singer. You got to be a singer. You got to be a singer. So, you know, his story is kind of crazy from just how he got on. It was a complete image and brand of I am the everyday American. And it worked. You know, for some reason, it worked back in those days, you know, in simpler times. So, well,
he's a timeless artist, man. He's one of those artists, I think, that transcends time, right? Like, you think about songs like Ain't No Sunshine, Lovely Day. I think the other one is Just the Two of Us, right? And the other one.
No, that may be Al Green.
Was it Al Green?
I think that might. I'm not too familiar with this.
That may be Al Green.
We're going to have to Google this one later and come back to it.
Love is. I don't want to sing it, though. I don't want to do that. I was about to do it, but I checked myself.
Nah, but he's a super dope artist, though, man. And before we kind of get into you specifically as a person, though, I feel like this is one of these questions, Jay, and you could probably attest to this, right? This is a barbershop question, you know. And the only reason why we're gonna ask this is because you have arguably two of the best albums of all time in The Blueprint from Jay-Z. And the other one, which is the Kendrick Lamar album, which is the Good Kid, Mad City. Right. So we have to ask this question, man. Top 5 greatest rappers, dead or alive.
Okay. So this is my thing about rankings, unfortunately. My top 1 is cemented. So Jay-Z is the best rapper of all time. So I have, drifted away from the top 5s, but for this podcast, purposes, I definitely will answer the question. So I say all of that to say, don't hold me to this, people. You see me in the streets, 5-10 years from now, a day from now, next week, don't hold me to it. It could change. But my top 5 dead or alive, I would say, let's say no order, just because these are just 5 people.
Fair. That's fair. No order.
Thank you.
I like that. That's smart.
I'm gonna be in the shop, so it's gonna be like, "Yo, Ron, you said," I'm like, "No, I ain't saying that."
You said some what?
Don't call me on. But it will remain somewhat consistent. I'm not gonna say like these are 4 other random names, but I would say Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, Big.
That's 3 so far. Those are 3 solid ones so far.
These are basic, though. These are basic, and I'm a spicy person. So, like, let me just be a little different. Let me throw y'all a little bit of a curveball. Let me say, I'm going to say Snoop.
Wow, was not expecting that one.
And then I'm going to say, despite, this man's controversies, and I don't want you guys to be shadow banned for this, but Kanye, I have to put it in the top 5.
Nah, but musically, he's a musical genius, bro. Like,
and this is what I'm saying. Like, to the Snoop part, probably the most famous, most recognizable rapper in the world. Like, he's huge everywhere. He's pivoted in so many different times. He's done the gangster rap. He's made a gospel record. He's made reggae records. He's made huge hits. And not to say that I've listened to the gospel reggae, through and through, but I've gone in them a little bit just to kind of see, like, are you just doing this to mess around? Which I'm sure he is, just because he's Snoop. But at the same time, like, he's actually putting his foot into these projects and is trying to make something out of it. So I say that Snoop has had one of the longest careers. He's been with No Limit Records. He's been with Death Row. Now he owns Death Row all the way back.
That's right.
He's been on Def Jam. He's been, he's been a president of Def Jam, and all while being, the biggest weed smoker of all time. People respect Snoop. You know, there's not too many people that are weed heads that respect weed heads. You know, all due respect to my weed smokers out there. You know, but you know, it's hard to give respect. So shout out to Snoop for pushing through that. So
no, I think that's a fair take. So Jay, were you surprised to hear Snoop in his top 5?
I was, because I know Rob for a couple of years now. You know, like me and Rob, we kicking it. We've kicked it before. You know, we're good friends, and I was not expecting Snoop Dogg at all, bro. Like the Jay-Z, I know. Kanye, I had a feeling, but Snoop, I was like, wow. Took it to the West Coast, like.
Yeah, because. No, because like I think Snoop is definitely on everyone's list, but I would put him maybe like top 15 if I had to make a rank. You know?
I like Snoop's song. I like Snoop Dogg. Certain songs, I'm not even gonna hold it. Like, there's like a couple songs that I'll listen to from him, and then I'm like, all right.
Yeah, like I think
I respect what he's done for music, you know, but it's not my sound all the way.
Yeah, like I think he's sort of like transcended music at this point, right? Like when you're making, a cooking show with Martha Stewart,
that man's everywhere.
Yeah, you're on a different level.
He's on Corona commercials, like this
Snoop is, Doggy Style. If you guys have the chance to go back and listen to that project,
we're gonna have to. Yeah.
Listen to it in the whip. That is definitely for the big speakers. Don't just put it on the headphones, That album right there, it's just one of those albums, like, I wish I went back, in time to when I first listened to it. And I first listened to it in middle school. We had LimeWire, during, my time of coming up and really carving out my music, fan, identity. I would say LimeWire was the reason why I listened to Snoop, or, some of these other random, old artists, is because you could type in anything and anything will come up. Sometimes it would be a Bill Clinton ad, but, most of the time it'd be like, your track. And now you're, really diving in, and, being raised an only child, music was my best friend up until I moved to Edgewater. So, I came to become a Snoop fan, not even knowing anything about him besides the music. And, that's why, Doggy Style is great.
Yeah, now we're definitely gonna have to go back and listen to that album, because I think it's I don't know, man. Like I think Snoop Dogg is an interesting artist for me, and I don't know if Jay, you kind of agree with this, but it was sort of like, there were songs that came out that we liked, but out of like the more popular ones, I don't really think I can name like some of the more obscure songs.
I know him like on the big features, like respectfully, like I'm not knocking him,
No,
I just,
it's okay.
Like,
I say no offense.
Yeah, no, like, and I like I vibe with it. Now that my boy told me, go give that specific album a listen. That's homework.
Lottie Dottie. He just encapsulates, such a chill rapper, calm, cool, collected, can give you a little bar, but is still his own unique style.
I think that's fair.
That suave, cool rapper is my type of rapper. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
that's someone that I know I can listen to that is not even sweating in the booth, just coming in and doing his thing, and it's so recognizable. He's not anybody else. He's Snoop Dogg. A Snoop Dogg record when you hear a Snoop Dogg record.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. He's definitely one of the more effortless flows that I've heard from other rappers. So you had mentioned that you don't like doing a top 5. So what's the reason behind it? Is it because it's unfair to like the new artists that have come out?
I would say it's just because, what are you valuing? And I feel like my change, as I've become, more of a mature, listener, sometimes just the bars aren't just enough for me to be like, all right, you're in my top 5.
That's fair.
It's, how are you selling me your album? Are you doing some goofy shit on Instagram? Are you trying to beef with everybody? Are you trying to beef with everybody just over a phone? Are you, what's your rollout like? Like, what are your singles like? And it's not even to, come off like a snob or anything, but music it's like food. We judge food, we judge restaurants, harshly. We should be judging some of these corny artist rollouts. You know, how are you trying? You're trying to get me to listen to your album because you're beefing with the next rapper? No, forget that. That's whack. That's corny. You know.
Nah, but I think that is an interesting take though, because music is like food, and Jay, I don't know if you've tried to like go into different genres, bro. And I've tried. I tried to really listen to country music once, and I couldn't fucking do it, bro.
So I tried country music, and this is what I'll say about country. The lyrics are beautiful, but I cannot do the beats, the symphonies, the sounds. Lyrically, they have some beautiful songs, but they lose me with the sound,
I get lost because I can't relate to, when a guy's on the mic singing about his tractor and, we live in the city, man. It's kind of, it's kind of hard.
That's very true. Yeah. I mean, but there's some like love songs that go a little deep,
For sure.
Some heartbreak songs, that are relatable.
Sure. So, Rob, what's your take on country music?
I would say I was never exposed to country music like that.
Okay.
The most I knew about country music was Willie Nelson and the Dixie Chicks. Now, just because that was what it was, and Tim McGraw, who had the song with Nelly. You remember?
Wasn't that like the first?
Idea. But I would say, piggybacking off of Jay's point about, some of the love songs and some of the lyrics, I can feel it, and not to say that I can name you a country song off my head, but there's some major records, like Love Is on the Brain by Rihanna. I don't know. I love that Anti album. And that was one with Work. Like that was like one of her biggest, that was her last album. Mm-hmm. Love Is on the Brain. And go back and listen to this record. It sounds like a complete country song. I realized that, the more I listened to it, I was like, this is completely country melodies, complete country soul, flow to it. But it's just Rihanna. So we just, take it and perceive it a different type of way. But she's a pop artist. So, sometimes, every genre, I say, every genre is good, I would say. Because all of the biggest pop hits at one point or another has a little bit of that genre in there. So I can't say, like, even classical got some heat.
Yeah.
I can't tell you off my head, but I promise you can go on YouTube and find some heat that we be like, this is kind of fire.
No, I think that is fair. And I think going back to your earlier comment about the Nelly and Tim McGraw song, I think that might have been one of the first country / hip hop kind of like twist that were ever came out in music, right? Because I don't think there was any other song before that, right?
And it was super pushed, man.
It was.
That song was everywhere.
It was.
That song was everywhere. So it had a real backing behind it. So someone, some big wigs were like, yeah, okay, let's make that happen. So yeah, that was a big deal. Seriously.
When I think about Nelly, man, just because we're talking about it, I think about when he came out with that first hit single. What was it? Was it Country Grammar or If You Want to Take a Ride with Me? I remember
that's the same album.
That was the same album. I forget the name of that song, but I remember being in number 6 school, Jay, Harry O'Bain, and that's
an anthem over there.
That
bro.
was that was the anthem, to the point that I remember being in class, in computer class, bro, and we would print out lyrics, and we thought that was like the dopest shit. It's just it's crazy how fucking time flies. So Ra, what is were you a fan of Nelly? Did you kind of respect him for what he did for the music industry?
Oh, honestly, that was me just, watching TV. That was when there was, there were more than 5 channels. But if you were a kid in a certain type of, culture, you was watching MTV, you was watching BET, you were watching, and then whatever cartoons you was watching or sports, if that's what you were into. So I just remember that song being on VH1 countdowns, MTV countdowns, and BET countdowns.
Yeah,
that's was how they were putting money into that song. They were really trying to push it into our brains. They really tried it. I'm not gonna lie. And I think they were like, okay, we may not have to do this
again. Nah, that was one of the more, popular songs. And based on for the 20 minutes that we've been talking so far, you're very knowledgeable on music. And you had mentioned something earlier, and I kind of want to touch base on that a little bit. So you moved to Edgewater, New Jersey.
Right.
Right. So where did you grow up originally?
Hackensack, not too far.
Not too far. Okay. So I think this is a good segue for you to tell the people who you are, and what got you from Hackensack to Edgewater.
Okay. So I was born and raised in Hackensack up until middle school. My mom got a new job. My stepfather came into my life, and they were, coexisting with each other. So that just made, just the net worth go up a little more just because Edgewater's a nicer area. But with that, I was really, to myself when I first moved to Edgewater, just because it just was a different area, different demographic, different, like, just city living, because it felt like a city. It didn't feel like a suburb.
Yeah. So
I feel like my mom was more keen on me being like inside the house, unless I was at the community center, playing sports up until it got dark out, So, like I said, when I first moved to Edgewater, LimeWire was huge. MySpace was huge. So music ended up becoming more of my life. I remember watching something on BET, and the whole crowd was reciting Juicy. And the fact that I couldn't recite Juicy, I felt, their passion and, like, the vibe of, whatever concert. May have been like, I don't even know what it was. I don't even know what it was. But being that, me feeling everybody rapping to Juicy, me not knowing the words, I was like, oh, I'm going to go on this website, A to Z Lyrics. Let me look up Juicy. Let me memorize this.
I'm going to learn this. I'm going to learn this song.
I'm going to learn this song, Jay. I promise you, Jay and John, I listened to that song for like a complete hour up until I knew the whole record. And
bar for bar.
I love bar for bar. So, ended up becoming, a big music head. I ended up, making mixtapes for girls, making mixtapes for the boys basketball team for when they run out during high school. So I kind of was shaping up into what I'm trying to do now with Eyes and Ears Media, and being a music fan. I never really touted myself to be like this big, I know music, but I know, people. I know I could have good conversations about music, so I think people also respected that too. It made it seem like I know a whole bunch about music, and just more on my path. I would say I moved out of Edgewater after graduation, high school. Moved to Lodi, and I got into TV production shortly after. And yeah. I'm sorry. That's super dope, man. I think that's a lot of, information to digest, which I think is interesting. And so because you're a big fan of music, I have to ask this question though. Did you ever dabble in becoming a rapper or a songwriter or anything to that effect? Oh, I've definitely made some bars, but I never played myself. So there's definitely a few iPhones. You know how Dre was like, yo, if you find that iPhone, that BlackBerry in Cabo, I know. I definitely have a few iPhones, when it first came out, and I was heavy on just writing some bars in my notes. But no, I never considered myself to be a rapper. It was just something that I feel like every minority in America, if you lived on the East Coast, has made some bars. Or if you lived in the tri-state area, has made some bars, at some point or time in your life.
Well, so you know what? I don't think I've ever asked Jay this. And Jay, have you ever written some bars?
Yeah, but like to piggyback off of Ross' point, I don't want to play myself.
Not gonna lay that one down. Like that.
Did you have a rapper name too, Ra?
Oh, I never had a rapper name.
Okay, so it never went to that extent.
No. I've always thought if I ever to have a stage name, I would just go by Ra.
That's fair, but that's a good name though. Like that's a good rapper name.
Like,
That's
it. I don't need to do more.
Jay, did you ever give yourself a rapper name?
Nah.
So, all right.
Wait, hold on. Let me ask you, did you ever give yourself a rapper name?
Yeah. Nah. Well, so like, I mean, we spoke about this already, but yeah. So like, I did music for a while though. So my first rapper name it's fucking stupid. It was Lost Hope, and then it was True Story.
That was getting
yeah. I was going through some shit at that time. Yeah. It was Lost Hope, then it was True Story, and then I just used my name, and like I'll still write bars from time to time. Jay's heard like a couple things. I don't think it's that bad though.
It's not
Jay,
that bad.
right?
It's really not that bad. I was really surprised by that hidden skill and talent that he has. Like, I was like, I always ask him, I was like, yo, did you write this with glasses on or without the glasses? Because like.
Lost Hope may get a couple spins. If I see Lost Hope's name on Spotify's new releases,
That's a pretty catchy name. Like,
so you're telling me to go back to Lost Hope? Is that what you're telling me?
You know, a little alter ego. You know, don't give it up now. You may be on something.
Damn. All right. So if I go back to Lost Hope and this blows up, what percentage do you want there, Ra?
No percentage.
This is a good man, Jay. I see why you mess with this guy.
You gotta pay it forward, kid.
I see why you mess with this man. He's a good dude.
Rod's
He's
solid,
a good
bro.
dude. Yeah,
Solid
he's a solid man, for sure. So kind of dialing back a little bit, and I know you had mentioned something to LimeWire about LimeWire specifically, and so for our younger listeners who probably don't know what the fuck LimeWire is or was, could you tell the people what that meant to us kids, us people growing up in the 90s, what LimeWire was?
You know, so I think they can actually wrap their heads around it more so than I would say like my mom's generation, because Spotify is literally LimeWire, except you had to download, you had to search whatever you were seeking for, and it was free, and it would put a virus on your device.
100% every time. Mad blue screens off a LimeWire, son. Like,
it was like the ultimate thrift store in the worst neighborhood.
That's a really good analogy.
Because you would have to, you know, let's say I had a good computer. Fortunately, my stepfather, he was nice, you know, he's nice with the computer. So if anything ever happened to him, I would always say, hey, you know, can you fix this? Can you fix this? But, you know, I'd be at my friends' houses, you know, trying to download the new Lil Wayne mixtape. And these dudes, Wi-Fi modems is moving real slow. So you'd be sitting at that computer for 3 hours just to potentially listen to a song, because there's a good chance that song's going to be a minute, 30 seconds. There's a good chance that song's going to have a whole bunch of ad-libs over from DJs and, you know, a whole bunch of burn.
for real. Yeah,
So like I said, it's going to be the Bill Clinton ad that says he never had a relationship with that woman. You know?
I forgot about that. I forgot.
He's bringing it back. That's true, because yeah, like you would download a song and you would hope that the song you wanted to download actually had good audio quality and didn't have any fucking DJ in the background. Bro, I remember, like, you know, Funk Flex.
Right.
That motherfucker drops a bunch of bombs before he plays the song. And I remember downloading a Funk Flex feature fucking song, and it took maybe 2 fucking minutes, bro, because it was like a radio rip before the song actually played.
That is true. You didn't want the song to download too fast. If you download it too fast, it's some bullshit.
It's a flag.
Like you said, yeah, that's so funny. That's so true. You wanted that like 10-minute, 15-minute download, and you good. That's a sweet spot.
That was a sweet spot, and you're right, because in certain cases, like if you didn't have the best internet connection, I remember leaving fucking LimeWire on and my computer on, for that matter, overnight.
You had to.
Overnight. For that fucking thing to finally download, man. And it's just crazy how, like, kids will never understand that struggle and making the actual mixtapes, you know, with the CD players.
Burning their own CDs.
Burning.
What? Blank CD. Crazy. You know, you really had to invest and spend time to be a music fan back in the day. Not to say that you don't now, because, you know, being on these apps, you definitely spend a lot of time. You can spend a lot of time, but there was really nothing like you said, going to make a new playlist, you know, trying to figure out what songs match. And like I said, going through the whole loops and, you know, jumps to just download these songs. And now you're adding it to a whole playlist. You're bringing it over to iTunes. You know, hopefully your iTunes doesn't crash. Like, you know, there was just a lot. There was a lot of sweat equity.
There definitely was. And I think to take it even a step further, man, I sort of also miss going to those local mom and pop shops and actually picking up a record, right? Like, Jay, did you ever buy records like at a local mom and pop shop?
I bought tapes, bro.
You bought tapes?
I had a tape player in my house, bro. Like, you know?
Do you remember the
CDs
last
was a little
tape?
expensive.
Not the tapes. Okay.
Damn, Jay. Yeah, that this man said the tapes. Do you remember the last tape you bought?
Yo, the last tape I bought, and I remember this because I gifted it to a niece of mine, and it was, y'all gonna hate me, y'all gonna kill me, but it was a 98 Degrees tape that I gifted her for her birthday.
But you bought it for her.
Bro, that's like saving lunch money, bro. Like, and being thoughtful, you know. Like,
no, but
the thought discounts is
yeah.
We didn't have jobs back then, bro.
Nah, I remember. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, but I remember I had to. It's crazy. The last CD I ever bought, and I remember saving up for it was, I think it was Jadakiss. I think the album was it The Last Kiss? I think it was. The one with Y, where he had the song Y on it.
Mm-hmm. He had the red suit on.
He had, yeah. That was the last CD, physical copy, that I think I actually bought at a mom and pop store. And I remember back in the day, they would actually give you a little card. And if you purchased enough CDs, they would give you a free one after you reach a certain amount. You know, so there's some like, it's crazy how like now everything is so fast, right? Like you don't need to go anywhere. You just download a song and it's right in your fucking computer. And I think would you think that because we grew up in that time frame, Rod, do you think it taught us patience?
No, I wouldn't say that because, you know, I wouldn't say that. No, we definitely are the internet age, and you guys are definitely included, even though if you guys are a couple years older. I feel like, you know, the better that technology got, the more mad, you know, I mean, the more we took it for granted.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
That's fair.
So I don't even think there's no, I mean, anyone that, you know, is used to cell phones and had iPhones in high school and cell phones in high school, they're not patient, you know, me included, you know, we're not patient.
Facts. That's true. I agree. 100%.
Come on,
I think from a media perspective, though, that there had to be a little bit more patience with the LimeWire, right? And having to actually wait for stuff to come out. Nowadays, if something comes out, you just download it on your phone and it's there. You know, back in the day, you actually had to go to a physical site to pick something up. So more patience from that perspective. There you go. That's the better word. Appreciation.
Yeah.
Appreciation.
Maybe the appreciation. And I feel like it probably also took away from, you know, the casual fan. I feel like there were way more casual fans back then because you had to still go to a store to buy, you know, music. Either you were a casual, you know, there definitely were extreme fans, always extreme fans. But, you know, nowadays I feel like either you're a super music head. I mean, not even an either or situation. I feel like there's less people that are just like not tuned into, you know, to music at all, just because, you know, everything is so commercialized, everything is so instantaneous. It's all on Spotify. So now there's some people who you know, their morals are being crossed by paying for music, you know, so I feel like the casual fan is kind of lost. I feel like, you know, it's more cult fans, you know, more diehard fans, or you're just not a fan at all of an artist. Everyone is all broken up into their corners, I think, too.
Yeah, no, for sure. And obviously, you know, with that, music has changed. So is there a specific year of hip hop music that you enjoy the most? Is it 90s? Is it early 2000s? Is it 2010 on?
I can't even call it, man. You know, people make fun of me and, you know, will call me an old soul. You know, some of the music that I'm into, you know, I love jazz, you know, I love R&B first. You know, I do love hip hop. Don't get me wrong. And you know, cause I love, you know, the culture of hip hop, you know, whatever that means. But I love R&B just because, you know, I be getting in my feelings like that. I love that. I'll sit down and I'll be happy as heck. It'll be a beautiful day out, but I will listen to some sad music, bro, just because, or like not even necessarily some sad music, but more just some lovey-dovey, like, I miss you, girl. And I'm talking from the 60s all the way up into the 90s when they were on their knees, you know, crying in fake rain, you know, and, you know, to house. I'm starting to get into house, you know, a little bit more, you know, too. So I forgot even what your question was, but
So like, I guess like more specifically about R&B, like what would you say? I already asked you who your favorite rappers were. Like, what's your favorite, I guess, R&B artist of all time?
Man, I'm bad at these all-time things. I promise you, bro. But I would say, you know, Marvin Gaye definitely comes to mind. You know, just because another one of those cool guys. You know, another one of those guys who I could just tell if he were, you know, in a room, like, you know, everyone's like, what? Like, you know, everyone's like, well, you know, what's going on over there? Like, you know, this is a cool guy. I want to go up and shake that dude's hand, you know? And then all the ladies are sweating him, you know? Marvin Gaye, I would say, I was about to say some controversial people, but let me skip those two names.
I know one of those. If I had to guess.
Well, I'm definitely not about to say his name. He definitely deserves no credit for me. Even to bring it to now, I mean, Stevie, you know, Stevie Wonders, but even to bring it to now, Lucky Daye, I think, is one of the dopest R&B artists out right now. Artists overall. I think he, you know, has brought back that feel of the 90s and without it making it seem like too old. It's fresh. It's like contemporary R&B, you know, in every sense of the way, where it has that, like, you know, mix of traditional, you know, tone to it. But like I said, it's still like 2022. Daniel Caesar, I like a lot. And I love Xavier Omar. Those are a couple of my favorite, you know, R&B artists right now.
These are like some new artists that I don't think I've ever heard of, Jay. we're gonna have to do some homework, man. Have you heard of these artists before, Jay?
No, I haven't.
Well, because like I mean, well, first of all, do you even listen to R&B, Jay?
I do, but more like the older ones. You know,
more like the older ones.
I stay there in the 2000s. I never left for R&B.
Well, so it's funny because fucking my wife fucking loves 112. Like anytime a 112 song comes on,
I'm a 112 fanboy. Peaches and cream. Those boys had hits, boy.
And then Donnell Jones. She fucking loves Donnell Jones.
Oh, Donnell Jones is amazing.
Yeah, that man. Yeah, he has a lot of good songs. And then you think about, like, you know, classic groups like Boyz II Men. You know, that was like
that. Even if, you know, even that throwback tunes, I'm telling y'all, like, and I'm giving y'all another assignment. You know, we may have to come up with a segment because I'm giving y'all a lot of assignment. Assignment, man. If y'all go back, listen to some Bobby Caldwell, that, you know, was you definitely have heard his music, but didn't even realize that, you know, he was a white man. And the funny thing is, you know, his sound is so soulful that the executives and even his team was concerned with how he was going to be received by Black people. So his first cover, you know, you don't even see him. It's like a shadow of a figure. Wow. You know, and it was a silly, you know, thought to think that, oh yeah, you know, Black people aren't going to, or any type of person is not going to like a music just because of a skin tone. But they're wrong. But yeah, Bobby Caldwell is one of the dopest R&B guys that I like. So another assignment for y'all.
Nah, for sure. And this is dope, man, because I feel like at a certain point I lost like touch with music. I remember at one point I used to be like on thatpiff.com and, you know, Hip Hop DX, and I was always on top of like the new songs and new artists that were coming out. So it's always good to talk to somebody that's going to put you on to some good stuff, because after a while, man, like you need something different. Right, like you can't keep listening to fucking Drake and, you know, these other rappers.
No, you have to, man. Don't don't let any genre burn you out of not listening to music, because it's so much. It's like we said before, it's food. Like, you're gonna stop eating, you know, not to say it's that extreme, but you know, you're not gonna keep eating chicken all the time. You know, you're gonna switch it up at some point. So yeah,
Which is interesting too, man, because when we were checking out your Eyes and Ears media page, I was surprised to see a Black Sabbath video on there.
Oh yeah. I'm definitely not a hip hop centric maybe at one point I was like, maybe my base of and like the core of me is that because that's like the first music I was exposed to between not even hip hop. I would say more gospel because, you know, growing up, I definitely was in the church a lot off of just, you know, my grandfather singing in a choir. You know, my first memories of me getting up and really feeling, you know, the Holy Spirit that some people feel. And I went to a Baptist church too. So, you know, a very stereotypical Black, you know, church, you know, that gets down when it comes to when the music session, like everyone wanted to be the young boy on the drums. You know, that was like, you know, for all the kids, all the boys, you know, that was in their heads. So, you know, damn, I forgot your question again. I'm sorry. I got into a memory.
So we were talking about Black Sabbath, but I think before we get into anything even further, though, I think it's important for the listeners to know exactly what Eyes and Ears and Media is. So if you could just tell the people what that is and you know where your love of music came from.
So bring it back a little bit and make sure that try to follow me. So if I mess up along this path, you got me.
For sure, I got you.
Say in 2013, I left the College of Mount St. Vincent in Riverdale. It was just way too expensive. You know, I was burning my mom's 401k, so I took it upon myself to say, you know, let me just get into the work world and, you know, just see what that's like. Just because you don't need to be burning your money. I don't even know what I want to do. So let's not even, you know, it was a private Catholic school, so it was super expensive. Out of state, for no reason, super expensive. Fuck Mount St. Vincent, and I will say that again. So, but
before you go on, do you want us to edit that? Or are you okay with this?
No, keep that shit.
Okay.
Keep that shit. If you are not a nurse, you should not be going to the College of Mount St. Vincent. But you know, in
feelings there, bro.
Seriously, don't let me go on a tangent. Stop. You know, so in the midst of me going home, you know, for the first time and, you know, being, you know, super hard on myself and not, you know, finishing school immediately thinking that was the end of my world, you know, you have a whole bunch of time. So, you know, so with that time, you know, I always loved music. I just started writing, writing on like a little blog. And I had a little blog spot when that was popular back in the day. And that was called 2112 and Company. And that was named after me and my roommate's room at College of Mount St. Vincent. So I was trying to do a little bit of a magazine. I was trying to interview people. I was trying to do something that I didn't even realize I knew what I was like really trying to do. I was getting recognition. I mean, I was getting traction because it's a matter of just emailing people and, you know, just having, you know, the balls to do it. I was around a certain group of people that were creative. Shout out my boy Kobe. He has his own line, Death Precision Inc. I mean, he does super big things, but, you know, he was connected to Tyler, the Creator. So that caused for his brand to go up at a certain time. Like he was a part of the Hype Beast, you know, that fashion corner, social media. So, you know, linking up with him, it kind of helped me form what I was trying to do with the company. So I switched it to Eyes and Ears Media because I was like, all right, I'm going to do a magazine. It's going to be an online magazine. I'm going to do these interviews over here. I'm going to do random segments over here. It was going to be a little bit like Vice. It was going to have everything, you know, it wasn't just music. It was everything. Recorded a couple interviews. I started one interview series called Does Jail Actually Rehabilitate? I did one shoot and I realized how expensive you know, the whole operation of Eyes and Ears Media was. And I was trying to do it by myself. And I realized that, you know, maybe writing for me isn't necessarily what I wanted to do. I felt like I was trying to, when I was first doing it, I felt like I was just trying to just post daily. And it really wasn't coming up with anything, you know, like the viewership got lower, you know, the numbers got lower. And I kind of just hit like a creative hurdle. And this was back in like 2014. I kind of skipped a little bit, but this is like currently 2014 at that point. You know, I had a friend whose mom worked for the Daily Times, and they interviewed me for Eyes and Ears Media. So I really was like, wow, kind of like on the outlook. It seemed like I was doing, you know, a lot of things because I was posting every day. I did have like an interview in the local New York New York newspaper. And I feel like I'm doing something, but like I just know at the end of the day, it's not sustainable. So I stopped it, and I stopped it for a very long time. I mean, I thought about doing it again in 2021 in the midst of COVID, and like I said, just having more time on my hands. And right now, I am trying to figure out what exactly I want to do with it. I feel like I kind of got back into the same pocket of trying to post every day. And even if I am getting some traction on it, just because the algorithms will put you out there, especially just because social media isn't just your followers, it's other people that are, may happen to come to your page. I'm realizing I don't want to keep up with the Joneses. I kind of want to go at my speed. So, this version of Eyes and Ears Media, once, I do put out my first piece of content on YouTube, it's really going to be the true maturation of it. And I want it to just be not exactly a magazine that people go to every day, but maybe something that people will go to every 2 weeks, maybe a couple times a month, something that really resonates with the people a little longer. I don't want to feel like I need to drop just because I haven't dropped yesterday. So that's where I'm at with it right now with Eyes and Ears Media. Music page that people will look to for content that lives for a long time.
No, that's super dope. And I could definitely see that based on the content that you're putting on the page. Dialing it back to what you said earlier, though. So when you were talking about, creating this interview series, does jail rehabilitate people? And you said that it was too expensive. So were you filming, directing, and doing everything on your own?
Yeah, I had a couple boys who are cameramen. I actually, hooked up a couple with, some good job situations. In the midst of that, I feel like at that point, it was such a creative, when you're like in your early 20s and you're creative and you're around aligned people. I mean, I guess you could say that at any age, but really when you're in your 20s, when everyone is kind of just figuring out their own, things were just, they were super creative at the time. And, I would meet up with this person and this person knew that person, this person, so I somehow created like a little bit of a production team for these interviews. And I realized it wasn't necessarily expensive out of my pocket. It was expensive with the time for them and the time, for me. And, being that I'm trying to give them a couple dollars, it really wasn't working out because there were a couple times, to speak frankly, that, they were like, hey, are you going to be able to pay for this? And I'm just trying to more sell them on the idea that we're building, something. And I kind of realized in that moment, that, this thing, it's not right for me to try to have others live my dream, especially when we live in a capitalistic world. Everything's about that paper. So I definitely had a little production team going up with those interviews. I had a few interviews.
And I think that's an interesting take, man, because in certain cases, like when you start something like that, it's always a grind and you hope that people are going to buy the vision and in certain cases they don't, right? So that specific series that you did, how was the structure? Would you just get random people and ask them, hey, like you would ask them that question, or what was that like?
Yeah, so I've had a few odd jobs in my life. I've always had a job once I got into the work world. So this job, I was going to Bergen for a semester and they had a job fair. I was only going to Bergen because I knew they had job fairs. And I knew if I went to a job fair and I shook someone's hand and I had a conversation, I would get a job. And that exactly happened. And it was up in Mahwah. It was some small computer hardware company. They really just hired me just because they liked me. So, throughout the whole 8 hours, I would literally use their email service, to come. It was like MailChimp, where you could have put in like a certain company, or we would buy certain email lists and we would just put in like an email and there a person's contact would come up. So I started doing that with any topic that I was thinking of. So for this one, for the jail series, I wanted to speak to different professors that, talked about criminal justice. And I actually interviewed a professor at NYU that had a whole story of him being incarcerated during the crack epidemic.
Wow.
You know, during I think it was Giuliani's reign in New York, where, you know, minorities were being arrested for having, you know, small amounts of, you know, of cocaine, but having like 10-year sentences. So he had a crazy story. And, you know, that was just, you know, my first, you know, I just cold emailed him, and it was just a matter of me just cold emailing people. Some people, it would bounce back. You know, this email didn't work. Some people wouldn't respond at all, but then some people would respond, and then it would go to a phone call. And I would just, you know, I would write a template of why I'm trying to interview them, and it would either be a yes or no. And I definitely got a couple yeses. So
yeah, it's sort of like, it's funny because that's sort of like what we do with the podcast, right, Jay? Like you, like on average, how many people are you like reaching out to on a daily basis? Would you say
3 to 7?
Yeah, and out of those 3 to 7, right? You probably get what, maybe 1 or 2 replies, if that.
Yeah, a week.
It's
take a shot.
Yeah, it's a grind, man, and so like it's sort of like, I feel like we're sort of like kindred spirits here, Rob. But have you thought about potentially starting your own podcast? Because it sounds like you were doing the interviews and stuff like that, so you kind of have the material there.
I definitely want to be. I wouldn't be against a podcast. And I also work in TV now, so I kind of understand the more technical side of building things, from producing all the way to, you know, troubleshooting certain technical things. And I realize it takes a lot to keep a podcast up and running, and I need to talk about the proper thing, because at this point, I'm not trying to half-step or half-ass anything. It needs to be completely thorough, all the way true and true. And it doesn't even need to be the best. It just needs to be the best effort. So, you know, with a podcast, I feel like it has to be the right topic, and it has to be the right topic, the right duration. It has to just be the right. It can't be me just, you know, talking crap, because I would just get, you know, I would just check out of it. Some episodes would be bad, some episodes would be good. You know, it wouldn't be what I wanted it to be, you know?
But I think when it comes to podcasting though, I mean, would you say that most podcasts, if you do listen to podcasts, would you say that 95% of the episodes are good?
That's a good point that you ask. I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if all of them are great. I really don't think so, because now I feel like I am such a podcast listener that I just put it on because it's comfort. You know,
yeah.
It's like, you know, I listen to Joe Budden a lot, the Joe Budden podcast a lot, and I'm actually a Patreon consumer of it. So I actually pay to listen to certain videos and stuff. And I'm just, you know, I sit back, but it's like turn on the TV, a podcast. So I don't even know if I even value, you know, that's a great question. I don't even think they got me already. It's basically what I'm saying. Like I'm your listener, so I'm going to listen to it. If it's bad, if it's great, I'm here up until I'm not. So you know, with that, starting a podcast is a great idea for the right person. I could definitely be behind the scenes of one. I wouldn't be against that, because I do think I know how to, you know, put together a production. But to be on one, it definitely would have to be specific.
Yeah, no, but I could definitely see that though. And the reason why I asked that question is because I mean, like, and I'm like my own worst critic, right? Like, we'll record an episode, and then like afterwards, me and Jay will have a little powwow, and I'll be like, damn, you know, I could have asked these better questions. And Jay's like, stop it. It was good. It was solid. This is what the streets wanted. You know, and like, I mean, Jay, like out of all the episodes that we've recorded so far, you know, how many of them would you say that you probably could have been a little bit better, or that you thought were okay after you listened to it?
I think, you know, like when you're listening to it afterwards, there's always going to be room for improvement, because you're taking notes, you know, you're digesting it all in. But
right.
in the moment, you know, we're doing this live, so we can't be perfect, you know, and we just keep moving forward. We keep learning.
Yeah. And that's sort of the thing, right? Because sort of like the Joe Budden podcast, right? And this isn't a Joe Budden knock by any means. But I tried to get into the podcast once, and I really couldn't, man. I don't know if it was because, like, it's sort of like like his style is way different from the other ones, and I don't want to say that it's not that it's structured, but it's sort of like the topic of the day, you know, and then that's sort of what you know they talk about and stuff like that. I think if anything, I actually liked Joe Budden as an artist. And he has one of my more favorite songs of all time. I don't know if you ever heard it. It's called 10 Minutes.
I've heard the song. I can honestly, bro, I'm not lying. I'm a big Jersey all day, as most Jersey people are.
Yes.
I have not really dived into Joe Budden's catalog like that. And I'm a huge podcast fan. I know that may sound crazy.
Really?
Me hating, like, it's just someone I'm just like, I don't know. It's just one of those different people. Like when it comes to their raps, I just don't know sometimes, you know. But
I think that's fair, man. I think it's hard to kind of be on top of like, you know, every rapper that's coming out and stuff like that. It is. It
impossible.
Is. Yeah,
impossible. There's too much.
I'm like, yo, I listen to your podcast, bro. You know, like, I don't know, man. I don't know what you want from me.
Hey, man, I think he appreciates that more than anything.
No, that's a fact. Definitely.
You know, and you're a patron subscriber too, man. So I'm sure he definitely appreciates that more than anything.
No,
the other thing that we wanted to talk to you about, Ra, and obviously it's because we had, you know, previous guests that you're affiliated with. Shout out to Jean. But, you know, when we were talking to him, he had said that you were also a co-founder of 99% Sports.
Right.
And, you know, we had asked him on that specific episode, more or less kind of how the name came about, how it started. And he had mentioned that it kind of started with the whole George Floyd thing. So basically, and I'm going to be paraphrasing here, but he had said that it sort of impacted you to the point where it drove him in a specific way where it made him think about what he could do for the youth and how he could empower them. We were talking offline and your take on it was a little bit different. So I wanted to see sort of what like the basis of that was.
I guess, you know, to speak more on the Floyd situation, you know, to me, it was just another, like, I wouldn't say another situation because it definitely is a pivotal case, a milestone case, you know, in the midst of 2020 that, you know, so it definitely is an anomaly in that type of way. But in, you know, more of a macro sense, it was just another, you know, black man that, you know, was, you know, unjustly, you know, murdered and, you know, on camera, you know, by a police officer, you know, and I have no beef with police, you know, and I find myself to sit the fence in a lot of situations, even when I don't even want to sit the fence on a lot of situations. But, that type of situation, you know, was dead wrong. So that was that. But
why do you think that was like the catalyst, though? Do you think it had to do with the fact that it was COVID, everybody was home, there was already a lot of built up frustration?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a gumbo of things. Yes, for sure. For sure. Because, you know, the Ahmaud Arbery, you know, the young man that was running, and I run all the time. So to me, you know, that one hit home way crazier just because, you know, I could be running around and, you know, and I hate to even, and I never really try to put my shoes on because I don't really put myself in, you know, crazy situations. And I, you know, like to think that I have a good, you know, sense of like, you know, my surroundings and, you know, I'm just observant in that type of way. I can feel a vibe and get up out of there. But, you know, with that was just, you know, a super sad situation. And it didn't get as much, I mean, it did. Oh man, we're going to have to do this. We're going to do this episode. I'm sorry. This one right here.
This one's going to be deep.
Okay. This is a loaded question.
No, I think that's
all over right now. It's speeding.
No, I think that's fair because you're right. You know, that those are two totally different situations. And, you know, I'm sure if we were to really dive into it, we could probably talk about it for hours. Right.
Yeah. It's hard for me to say, to keep that surface level.
Yeah, it's tough. So let's focus on the 99% Sports. Right. So
right.
I guess like, what was your take on that and sort of like, what was your involvement in it?
Yeah. So, you know, me and John, we coached in Edgewater at the community center where we grew up where I grew up, for middle school, high school, where Jean grew up for pretty much his whole life. We coach at the community center for the past 7-8 years. Kids from starting at 7th grade, then coming up with them in 8th grade, and then letting them graduate, and us, recycling it. So we built that kinship through coaching, and that relationship and that chemistry through coaching. So much so that Jean was like, "Oh, why don't we try to legitimize this in a company sense and really do our own thing?" And with that, I was like, heck yeah. I do media already. I feel like both of our skills with, his personal skills. Jean is Mr. President. So, he'll go into a room, he'll try to, finesse and, talk to the right one and end up coming out with a yacht out of there. So, personal skills, I also have, I'm the juice, I got that energy, and I also have, a lot of media knowledge. I was just thinking, with that, that combined 99% sports, could take it to the roof. And we like working with kids. And this goes beyond kids because, we actually had an adult basketball league this past summer.
Was that the one that you did?
Yeah, that I coached. Me and Ra went at it.
Wait, hold on. We gotta talk about it though. We gotta talk about this. So why did you guys go at it though?
I'm the juice. So I just know, there's some points, and Jay's also can be considered the juice. Like, this is not just one singular person.
It was friendly fire though. It wasn't like
Yeah. Jay is a competitor without being a jerk. So, he was the right one to go back and forth with. What was the outcome of that game, Jay? I forgot.
You guys won.
So wait, hold on. What was being said though? Because I know my boy Jay could be a little bit intense when he gets really passionate about stuff. So Jay, what were you saying?
We kept it nice. It was just like, I was calling one of their best player old. That man lit us up.
The same man y'all interviewed.
Listen, shout out my boy Jean. Like,
to get busy. Yeah.
Woke up the ghost that day, bro. Like that guy was.
He seems to be the more reserved one, though, right? Because he was talking about that, where he kind of like just sort of keeps it to himself and lets his game speak. So, Ra, are you the opposite? Are you more voiceful? If my boy over here is like talking shit, or?
I'm a Jet fan. I'm a Jet fan from Georgia, from Bergen County. I can't help but to be loud. But no, on some real stuff, I definitely wear my emotions on my sleeve, and it could hinder me in some places, but in most situations, it helps. I know with 99%, per se, a lot of the parents after events, they've told me like, "Oh, we need you to be our alarm in the morning. Like, you can add confidence to kids." And I love to see a kid not catch the ball. Me, kind of teach them how to catch the ball, and then me gassing them up and giving them the confidence to catch the ball. Because I feel as if a lot of sports is mental, and a lot of youth sports at that age, a lot of it is mental, which I kind of add confidence to. And a lot of kids just don't have confidence in sports, especially when it's like a sport like basketball. It's the most unforgiving sport out there. You can't just pick it up and have success. You have to actually shoot and see if you can actually shoot or not. And you will know real quick if you're not able to shoot or not. So I think giving a kid confidence in any sport, is just the most gratifying feeling. Having a kid come up to you 5 years from the point, now they're in high school, damn near graduated. You haven't seen them in years, but they'll tell you some random story about, Ron, you remember the one day you were yelling at me to tell me to do this, and I end up doing this, right? And, just telling me crazy memories. I'm just like, man, that was a part of the job, It makes me the happiest. It's in my blood, I would say.
You know what I'm thinking about? Just thinking about when Jay's son is getting older and Jay's Jay is going to be that football coach. Let me ask you something, Jay. Let me put you in a scenario here, just because I think this would be funny. What would you do if your son is the starting quarterback of the football team and he throws for 4 picks? in the
Gabe's
first half. How you coaching your son, bro?
You know, I'm really trying to learn and grow into not be like that very aggressive like bench dad. You know, because I wanna build them up to have confidence in like it's okay to lose, you know, and bounce back. But I'm also trying to grow while he's growing at the same time right now, because I would, you know, I'd just be like, yo, you know, you suck, bro. Like you had a bad game. like,
yeah.
You know, but I don't want to be like that. You know, that's not what I want to be. That's not who I want to be towards my son. And little by little, I'm growing into that. Like, you know, this is what you're gonna do. Let's go watch some tape. Let's see where your mistakes were. You know, and let's get better on the next game. Hopefully, if not, kid.
Well, so
listeners, can you tell listeners how old your son is exactly?
He's 3.5.
And he's watching film with him. He's watching film.
Yo, because you gotta watch film, bro. You know, you gotta watch film. Well, not at 3 years old.
No, you got to. No, you got to. No.
But, you know, Pee Wee, there's tape. You know, Pop Warner football, there's tape.
No, I believe you are I believe you are showing him.
That man watches a lot of sports highlights, bro. That little kid loves sports, bro.
That boy's trying to watch cartoons or whatever. Baby Shark. Now watch these Giants.
Watch the Giants highlights, bro. This yo. And it gets crazy when he's like, Papi, can we watch some football? I'm like, but it's like Tuesday. He's like, YouTube. You know, YouTube.
That's dedication right there, man.
Kid loves football and soccer, bro, and basketball. He enjoys it.
That's a future all-star right there, man.
He's gonna be one of the first with the NIL deal.
I still don't understand that.
Neither do I. But I know Bronny James just signed one with Beats, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
It's essentially a sponsorship deal.
Is that the whole thing going back to like college players could get sponsors
with your
endorsements?
Like they're not getting so they can be in ads and their jerseys can be sold and.
Okay. That makes sense.
An ideal is really just like, here, I'm giving you money and you're saying whatever about my company. I think is the nutshell of it.
You're gonna see these college athletes showing up to practice in Porsche.
We've been seeing that though.
Yeah.
They've been bugging, man. They've been bugging.
Yeah, bro. Like
it's just legal now, you know.
LeBron drove a Hummer, bro, in high school. Like
Reggie Bush.
That was my next one.
Oh damn!
Give me back my Heisman. And don't get me wrong, he deserves his Heisman. But Reggie, I know you got some money at USC. Stop fronting, please. Let's not front, Reggie. Come on now.
Jay, I think you should take a disclaimer on this one.
Yeah, this is for entertainment purposes only.
You feel me? We just
Oh man. But Rob, wrapping this up, man. Usually we like to end the podcast asking our guests if there's anything that they would like to plug and promote, man. So the platform is yours, my guy.
Follow at 99% Sports. That is 99% Sports. We have a few adult leagues coming up next year. We have a few youth leagues coming up this year. We're in the midst of a junior league. We're actually taking our junior league to the Brooklyn Nets game this Friday. We linked up with a non-for-profit called Kids for Seats. They hooked us up with tickets, so that's going to be super exciting. And follow Eyes and Ears Media on Instagram. The page is going to be more active, but I promise you it won't be super active. I am going to bring people onto YouTube. And I know I'm plugging something, but this is just one quick moment to say that, I feel like the key to getting people from one platform to another platform is what all creators are trying to look for. And, right now I feel like these platforms are trying to keep you on their platform, but, there's YouTube There's, Apple Podcasts, there's Spotify podcasts, so I just, I have to say that, the Instagram will be active, but please subscribe to the YouTube page. I already have a couple compilations up there to get, the views up, and some more original content will be coming out.
Awesome. Yep. People definitely check out the pages. Ra, always a pleasure, my guy. Appreciate you for being on the show, man. Already, he's banging his chest right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ra.
Yeah, you're the man. I appreciate you, man. Jay, my co-host, always a pleasure, my guy.
Always.
Anything to say, Jay, before we wrap this up?
Let's go Giants, go New York. Not even Giants, just New York. New York is riding high right now, bro.
Let's go New York, baby.
New York is riding high, bro.
Cue the Sinatra.
New York.
And on that note,
New York.
that boy can hit the high notes. Goddamn. I respect it. People, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, make sure to rise up. Peace.
Dope conversations, everyday people, learning life lessons, this is what we live for. Maybe perfect strangers, but we cut up like we kinfolk. We all have stories and all our stories should be told.